Looking for a guaranteed way to create content that resonates with your audience? Start a podcast. Interview your ideal clients and let them choose the topic of the interview. Because if your ideal clients care about the topic, there's a good chance the rest of your audience will care about it too. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm Jonathan Green.
And I'm James Carberry.
Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We are here today with Jen Spencer. She is the VP of Sales and Marketing at SmartBug Media. Jen, how you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you.
I am very excited to chat with you today, Jen. We had you on the podcast a while back, and I'm really excited to have you on here again today. We're going to be talking about why sales enablement is the new marketing. But before we do that, I'd love for you to explain to our listeners a little bit about SmartBug Media and what you and your team are up to over there.
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you. So SmartBug Media, we are an intelligent inbound marketing agency, very much focused on revenue growth. And we do that using inbound marketing, digital strategy, web development, PR, really to help our customers increase leads and revenue and sales effectiveness, overall. And we're one of HubSpot's top partners.
Love it. I love it. So Jen, we're going to be talking about sales enablement today. And as we dive into the topic, I'd love to kind of start off by talking about the evolution of marketing, kind of where marketing was and where you're seeing it today. Can you explain that to us just a bit?
Yeah. So I think, we're all aware that marketing has changed. I mean, marketing used to really just be about the brand, right?
Yeah.
And in a lot of organizations, even still today, honestly, marketing is not driving revenue in an organization. It's an expense. Or maybe it's doing internal communications. And where things are shifting is that more and more we're seeing marketers that, have revenue goals. And the marketing can't just be about the logo or a brochure or, a nice pretty website. It actually has to do work. It's got to do something for you. So we're definitely seeing that. And there's a lot of pressure that's being put on marketing teams to, drive engagement, drive behavior that ultimately contributes to revenue growth for the organization.
And a big way that marketing teams are doing that, leading us to what we're going to be talking about for the bulk of this interview, is by really coming alongside sales and enabling your sales team to actually close revenue. Can you talk to us about what you see that looking like?
I think the most used terminology of sales and marketing alignment is the key here.
Yeah.
Right. And people like Dan Tyre, are using words like smarketing and kind of merging the two together. And it's because that's what we need to be doing.
Yeah.
So if you're a revenue driven marketer, if you're doing demand generation, your number one goal is kind of bringing leads in through your website or through events, in whatever way that you're doing marketing. The thing is, bringing a lead in doesn't mean you're hitting your revenue goals, right? You actually have to close that business. And where marketers need to really shift their thinking is working with sales in partnership to ensure that those leads aren't just leads that get added to your CRM, but that those leads are nurtured and that your sales team is well enabled and supported to help those prospects become customers and then help those customers, ultimately be successful. And so that's where marketers really need to take things just one step further.
Got it. So instead of the goal being bringing the lead in, really the marketer's goal should be, whether or not that lead closes or not. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's hard because if you've been in the marketing seat, okay, well, I'm not the salesperson. I can't actually close this business. I'm not the one following up, responding to the demo request. I'm not the one going through the process or negotiating the contract. Why should I be responsible for, whether or not that deal closes, right? But it's a team effort, and there are things, there are tactics, there are different things that we could be doing as marketers to better enable those salespeople to be successful, to help achieve those goals together.
So let's dive into what some of those specific things are, where your role, someone who's leading both sales and marketing, what's that look like? What does marketing, what tangible things can marketing do to come alongside sales and really enable them to start closing these leads that we're sending over the fence?
I think it's, you want to take one giant step back and look at not just a marketing campaign, but look at an entire, first of all, customer lifecycle campaign, really, if you think about the big picture.
Yeah.
So let's say, you're creating a new ebook, or there's a webinar. Okay, there's some kind of marketing activity or event that's going to happen. You've got your list of assets that you're going to need to have. You're going to have a landing page. You're going to have registration. You have to have, if it's a downloadable piece of content, the download. You have the follow-up email that goes to them to give them the ebook in their inbox. You're going to enroll them in nurture campaigns. All these things are going to happen, right?
Yep.
And most marketers are thinking about those things. Well, the place to take it one step further is to go, okay, how are we getting this information to the sales rep, to the appropriate sales rep, so that sales rep knows that this lead has consumed this content? Does the sales rep know what other content or other experiences this prospect has consumed or has been involved in? That's also really key in helping that salesperson really understand the big picture of what the prospect might be looking for. So those workflows, triggers, notifications. But as you're also building out assets, it's a great time to be creating talking points. A lot of people are hesitant to jump on, using sales scripts, but maybe just talking points of, okay, if you're following up as a salesperson, if you're following up with a lead who has consumed this particular piece of content, here are some appropriate talking points that speak to the pains of this person as the buyer persona, that speak to the solutions that we offer, so you can have an intelligent conversation with them. It may also be email templates that they can use for individual follow-up. So it's not that complex. It's like one or two additional things that you can be creating while you're already organizing everything that you're doing and building everything for your marketing campaign. Just think about, what does the salesperson need to really be successful in engaging this person?
That makes sense. And so, Jen, you've led sales and marketing, in the time that I've known you at a couple different companies. Are there any particular things that you've seen the marketing teams that you've led, any particular assets or things that you've seen them do that have made the biggest impact on their sales counterparts?
I think it's all about communication and visibility.
Okay.
So here's a good example. So we would do things like send a launch email when a new asset was available, and I would say, okay, here's the list. These are the types of people who are going to be receiving this, people who are in this stage of the buyer's journey that are this persona, right? And here's the piece of content, and provide that to the sales team. So then what we started doing is going, let's also let the sales team know when this is going out. Not just this is going out Wednesday, but this is going out Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time with the exact time. And then what the sales team would do is they would actually block out on their calendar a half an hour or 40 minutes during that time, because inevitably what would happen is when that launch email would go out, then all these downloads would happen, and people would be on our site, and then people download that asset, and then they start going over to the features page, and then they hop over to the pricing page, and that is the optimum time for someone in sales to be picking up the phone and calling. And so we noticed it was just letting them know, just giving them access to the calendar, making them aware, and allowing those salespeople to structure their day in a way that they could respond to those leads. That was really effective, and they were happy to have it because, for the BDRs, they're comped on meetings that they're booked. For the AEs, they need to get demo requests in. So it was just about giving them exposure and then working together as one team.
And is there a particular tool that you use, Jen, so that your sales team can see when when specific people from, particular accounts are on your site?
We were using HubSpot for the marketing automation and triggering that. And they have a sales professional, sales pro tool, feature, where you can see when someone's on the site, or you can see, if they've clicked on something.
Got it.
And just basic workflows. I mean, we would have it where, one of my BDRs one day said, I really wish if someone was on the pricing page, I wish that it can make an alarm just go off in my head. And I'm like, well, I can't do that, but I can send you a text message. That I can do. And so we just configured HubSpot so that if the company owner was known and the contact was known and the contact, met certain requirements and was on the pricing page, then it would send a text message to the BDR saying, hey, first name, last name from company name is on the pricing page right now. Call him or her at, here's the number.
Nice. I love it. And are you guys using like any sort of chat bot on the site itself that kind of, I've been seeing them pop up more and more. I think Drift has a pretty popular one. Have you guys played around with any tool like that allows people on your site to engage directly with a rep?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Drift is awesome. HubSpot has one built into their stack also, called Messages. And, what's really cool about that from like a customer's perspective, a buyer perspective, you can configure them so that the sales rep that is assigned to the account that they're working with is the person's face and name that they see there. And so you can actually start, engaging as opposed to it being just like some random, other person, other entity.
Yeah. So
I think it's a nice way of kind of this being this extension and being out there. But there's so many cool like tools and pieces of software and artificial intelligence out there now. I mean, my head's just like swimming with ideas.
Yeah. I feel you. So Jen, this has been fantastic. I think, that there's so many people that I've heard this term sales enablement, everywhere. And I feel like you've done a really great job of boiling it down, in simple terms that I've been able to get my head around, and just that, just the thing that you said about just notifying your sales team when a campaign's about to go out so that they're aware that there's about to be a flood of people come to the site that could potentially be ready to buy or move along the sales process. I think that's a really important note to make, and a tangible takeaway for the folks listening to this to walk away with. Is there anything else around sales enablement becoming the new marketing or being the new marketing that you'd like listeners to understand before I let you go today?
I think to your point of what you're mentioning as a takeaway is don't overcomplicate it. We just need to simplify things, as teams. And, even if you think, you're communicating, if you're not seeing the results you want on the team, if you're not seeing that synergy, then something's just, not right. I mean, to the point of that example of notifying the team. I mean, we had been including information about the campaigns in, one particular place within our kind of world. And it turns out the sales team, they weren't using it. They weren't there. They weren't paying attention. So it's like you got to meet people in the middle and be where they are. So I think it's just about having good communication and really working together. And it can be hard sometimes, but if you go after a common goal, you'll get there. And
I think it's funny. I don't think anybody would argue with you to say that you need to be where your customers are. If you're communicating on a platform that your customers aren't living in, then you're probably not going to get very far. But the same exact thing is true when you're communicating internally. And if your sales team isn't, using whatever platform that you're publishing that content to or sending those alerts to, then you better figure out where they are hanging out so that you can more effectively communicate, which is all what this entire conversation has kind of been centric around. Jen, this has been super helpful. If there's somebody listening to this and they want to stay connected with you, or they want to learn more about SmartBug Media, what's the best way for them to go about doing both of those things?
Well, I'm super active on social media, so you can find me on LinkedIn or Twitter. It's just Jen Spencer. If you request me on LinkedIn, just let me know that you heard this, on this podcast, so I have some context. That would be awesome. Or check out smartbugmedia.com.
Awesome, Jen. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to staying connected with you.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me.
If you've been getting value from this podcast, you can help us reach more people by reviewing the show on iTunes. Here's how you can leave a review in less than a minute. Open your podcast app and tap the search icon in the bottom right corner. Type in B2B Growth, then select our show. Once you're there, tap the Reviews tab and tell us what you think of the show. These reviews help us out a ton.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.